Do improvised intro. Do I didn't plan this. Do I'm just banging my hands on the floor as accompaniment, and they're not even in rhythm anymore, and I've stopped singing if I was singing in the first place. Okay, I'm just gonna stop that. All right, hello, welcome to Our World is Dying Lmao smiley emoticon. Yes, that is the proper pronunciation. God, that was a canned joke. Okay. I decided on that name because I wanted to show that this podcast was a space for serious intellectual discourse about stuff, I guess. Oh, and I also have philosophical ruminations planned paired with memes and stuff, but I figured opening with that wouldn't get me ad revenue. Well, I guess that doesn't matter anyway, because I know deep down this will never get me ad revenue for so many reasons. So many reasons. Now would be a good time to explain what this whole thing is, right? Right. Yeah, well, this will probably clash with my whole diatribe about branding later, but internal consistency doesn't matter. Anyway, basically, I just talk about anything that's related about how our world is dying, about how our world is Lmao, about how our world is smiley emoticon. You get the idea. And as for my perspective, well, you can just look at my thumbnail to figure out the whole tone of this thing. Oh, and I'll try to keep this short because I know I am not an hour's interesting worth of conversation. And I also know that writing scripts is really hard, especially if they're over 15 minutes. My fingers get super sore. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I should probably explain why I made this podcast, right? Well, let's just get right to it. Attention issues. I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, I'm not really kidding, but being emotionally honest wouldn't be on brand for me. And Lord knows that if you want a modern, hip, and with it internet persona and happen to go off brand for any reasons, your fans will burn you at the stake and force you into irrelevancy forever. But as I said, I have attention issues, and I'm too lazy to do any real therapy. So I figured talking into a crappy internal laptop microphone in my attic would be a perfect substitute. And besides, I had watched all those cute animatics on YouTube that people like to make sometimes, and I saw that they were super fun and relatable and were getting so many views. So I figured all of that respect and admiration would just translate over immediately to me if I did this. And I mean, yeah, sure, I can't draw. I don't have any proper audio equipment. I don't really have any experience storytelling. And my thumbnail was created off of a free graphic design program. But hey, we all have to start somewhere. And besides, the resources to make art really should belong to the people. Crap, I just made this podcast socialist. I'm never gonna get ad revenue now. That means I'll starve. Which means I won't have enough money to do therapy. Which means I have a real excuse to not do therapy. All right. It all works out in the end. Well, I mean, it doesn't, but I'm just going to keep saying that it all works out in the end to distract from the fact how cruelly random our universe is. Okay. So, I got my inspiration to shamelessly rip off more successful people than me, which is great and all, but I still had this problem of branding, you see, because I recognize branding to be this thing where you make yourself more marketable or employable based off of this image you create on the internet, or just even in real life, really. And it just doesn't sit well with me ethically because, I'm an edgelord, and being contrarian is what I do. So I was at an impasse, I guess, because I think branding is creatively limiting, emotionally stressful, and just dumb. And yes, those were the points I practiced for debate team. I did not make the debate team, but now I got this podcast, so who's laughing now? Eventually, I settled on being all #edgy, as I again want to do, and decided to go anti-brand, I felt so proud of myself because I thought I had solved the whole issue. I was super congratulatory for 3 whole minutes, but then I realized in a real existential way that being anti-brand was just another type of brand. So after wallowing in my despair for a couple of days, I realized that I was again at an impasse, Because I want this podcast to be successful. I may have put it on YouTube, but I want this to be successful. Oh God, I'm gonna have to upload this to Bandcamp too. Oh, that's gonna take a whole 5 extra minutes of uploading. My life is hard, guys. Anyway, follow me on Bandcamp. It's free and it's artsy and stuff, and I like it. Okay, thanks. Cool. Done. Now, I suppose this will be the time in the narrative I'm creating to reveal the big twist that saves the day and ethically absolves me to try and create a successful brand that's not a brand but still functions as a brand but is totally not a brand. Yeah, well, I hate to break it to you guys, but that didn't happen. I just decided to go ahead with this and live with the guilt. God, I am such a good role model in so many ways. But, that's the crux of the problem, is it? Like, with branding and with quite a few things, actually, in this society that I'll probably end up talking about in later episodes. But not today, because I do not want to have to type more than 2 pages. You just can't escape it. Not if you want to engage with anything meaningful. I mean, if I want to become a real internet persona with this podcast, and I do, I'll inevitably have to develop, a pattern, a familiarity, which is inevitably a brand. So I guess if I want to truly avoid this whole, marketing boogeyman I created for myself, I'd have to log off forever. But then that means no Netflix or Tumblr. So yeah, sorry. Can't be ethically pure. I guess I'll just have to learn to love the realities of late capitalistic marketing and human psychology. But don't worry, it's fine. I'm fine. It's great. It's great. It's just freaking great. Well, it's not great, but it's something that I gotta live with until our world finishes dying. Lmao. Smiley emoticon. And that's what it means to be an adult, right? Whatever. But that really is the thing. I mean, yes, I have attention issues, but I created this podcast out of a sense of urgency. I'm worried about the state of our world going, full Mad Max or Handmaid's Tale or The Walking Dead. And I've seen all 3 of those shows / movies / books. And let me tell you, only 2 out of 3 of them are fun. Okay, so, I just don't want to take that chance, right? So I decided that making a podcast would totally fix the complex socio-political regressions that could lead to an apocalyptic scenario like that. Wow, I am such a good activist too. Oh my god, I should run for office or something. I'd probably win. Just saying. So now I have come to the realization that not only do I have attention issues, but I also have a huge ego that I will soothe by appropriating superficial current political struggles that have nothing to do with me. Okay. So if that means I end up with a brand of being, I don't know, funny, morose, and surreal, then so be it. Because, being totally honest with you guys, I'd rather have my voice out there and bend my morals a little than be silent and ethically absolved if that means I can't accomplish anything. And hey, the central issue of this episode was a man-made modern phenomenon of branding for the sake of increasing one's profit / influences, and how I think that's kind of screwed up, that creatives have to make their art marketable in order to eat and survive and prosper and all that. But hey, it's a modern man-made phenomenon of our world, so if our world does end up dying with a Lmao and a smiley emoticon due to complex socio-political regressions that, now that I think about it, are not superficial, they just don't really relate to me, then none of this will have mattered. And I think that's beautiful. Okay. Well, now that I have solved my whole branding crisis, that wasn't really a crisis, but I chose to make a crisis anyway because I needed something to talk about for this whole introductory type episode, I'll be signing off. Tune in next Monday to hear me talk about how high school shot my optimism in the face, as it is wont to do. Now remember, kids, always eat your vegetables, register to vote if you haven't already, and just know that if life gets you down, yeah. Okay, bye. Love y'all. Kisses. Okay, now how do I turn this off? Oh, God, I hate Windows Movie Maker. I should have gotten a MacBook.